Have you ever heard of the backrooms? Definitely yes. But do you know what it really is? Today I want to tell you about my story, a story that terrified me. The backrooms are not real, it is a legend that became famous in the world. Games, videos and stories have been created in these backrooms. The backrooms are places or non-places that transcend traditional concepts of time and space. Endless corridors, recurring identical rooms and the absence of windows, immerse those who arrive there in a condition of complete alienation, such as to make them lose awareness of the surrounding space and, above all, of the classical logic of the passage of time. Before continuing, I want to tell you that these backrooms are commonly a reconstruction of our mind, and therefore do not exist in reality. At least, that's what we imagine. Today I want to tell you how I ended up in it. You must know that a good part of the population can experience this terrifying journey. It's about those stressed people who have difficulty sleeping, and especially those who suffer from apeirophobia. This is the excessive fear of infinity, which can cause panic attacks if you think, for example, of eternal life. This fear is often related to thanatophobia, or the fear of dying. I was a man with a weak personality when I was 30, and it is for this reason that I suffered from anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I was afraid of infinity, of the incessant repetition of events, of death. I was recently married and had a 5-month-old son when I experimented with backrooms. It was a rainy night, a strong wind blew outside and beat on the windows. I couldn't sleep after a long day at work. In fact, I sometimes suffer from insomnia. At one point in my half-sleep I heard a sharp cry approaching me, louder and louder. I woke up, it was my son crying. I got up all sweaty and calmed the baby. Then I decided to go get something to eat in the kitchen when I suddenly sank to the floor. I fell in an unknown place. It was neither hot nor cold. I was inside a very large room where various dark corridors and blocks of yellow walls opened up. There were big white lights on the ceiling that made a constant hum sound. The smell was stuffy, there was silence. I looked up. From where I had fallen there was no opening, there was a closed ceiling. I started circling and calling for help. I soon realized that it was a labyrinth of the same corridors and rooms, with the same lights and the same walls. I found a flashlight with blood around it. It worked. I would have needed it for the darker parts. I wandered for a time that seemed infinite to me, through infinite corridors. It was my biggest fear and I was experiencing it at the time. I felt the terror growing in me more and more. There were ladders that led to dark corridors, passages that constantly confused me. Eventually I found a door, it said exit. I went inside. I found myself in a parking lot. The atmosphere was dark. There was no noise. No car. I walked around for a very long time. There were ups and downs that led to different floors, but exactly identical to the others. I could no longer tell if I was going down or if I was going up. It was as if the space around me was constantly changing. Suddenly I saw a figure running towards me. It was very fast, and when it reached me it pushed me and caused a very strong pain all over my body. I ran away as hard as I could until I saw no one else. Then I found a rope, and after an infinite amount of time I found a trapdoor. I rappelled myself down and found the door that led to the exit. I found myself in a very long corridor. There were pipes all over the left side. It was cold. It was dark. I couldn't see anything. I went ahead. The corridor never ended, everything was the same, and my sensation was that of walking in the same spot. Walking endlessly and never getting anywhere is a horrible experience. At one point I heard a very loud scream, a very bad scream. I looked, and in front of me in the darkness I saw a creature, a monster coming towards me. I started running back as fast as I could. I could hear the screams continuing and getting closer and closer. Then at some point I heard nothing more. It was probably gone. Slowly I continued until I found the door to the exit. I found myself in a large dark corridor. In the distance I could see a spiral staircase leading upwards. I began to climb the spiral staircase. There were slits that allowed you to observe the outside. I could feel the air, an icy wind blowing very hard. The atmosphere was gloomy. I could only see clouds around me. It was like I was in the middle of nowhere on top of a mountain. I climbed the spiral staircase for an interminable time. I don't know how long it lasted, but it felt like I was climbing towards infinity. I finally got to the top. Around me I saw black clouds looming. I felt the cold air that entered my body. I walked until I came to the edge of the precipice of the building I was in. I couldn't see anything. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where to go. I stood there looking at the nightmare I had found myself in that day. Without thinking about it, I threw myself down. I fell for a long time, into infinity. Then I found myself in a corner of my bedroom. I was in my house. My baby was fine. Everything was like before. I have thought a lot about what had happened to me that night. I can't explain if it was really a nocturnal paralysis. There are now rumors around the world that backrooms really exist and are an alternative part of our world. A part of the world that we do not know but that was created to access and control our world. There are rumors. They say that sometimes there is no going back from the backrooms, from infinity. Imagine what it must be like to live in an infinite world for your whole life.